Welcome back. And with me, Ari Horie, the CEO of Women's Startup Lab, Jaclyn Baumgarten, the founder of Boatsetter, and also Quinton, angel investor and advisor to Women's Startup Lab. So we're going to be talking about women entrepreneurs and investment and that whole kind of field right now. So Ari, let's start with you. You're the CEO of this Women's Startup Lab. I guess just tell me what it is that Women's Startup Lab does.
Sure. Women's Startup Lab is a Silicon Valley-based tech entrepreneur accelerator. We've been around since 2013, have been running a program and graduated over 150 entrepreneurs. Okay,
and what kind of things do you teach the women to do?
Well, they're already running their company. They know a lot of the basic of their business and their industry. But we're focusing on really brushing up their presentations, looking at their strategy, and really preparing them for their funding phase.
Okay, so that's a nice segue into Adam. So you are an advisor as well as an angel investor. So you take a look at these startup companies and decide where to put your money. So what are you looking for when you decide to make an investment?
Well, I look for something that I think everybody looks for, which is a combination of like an exceptional idea, sort of a killer product addressing a real problem. But crucially, particularly for the early stage companies, the sort of companies that Ari is working with, most important of all is the person, the individual founder, the leadership team. You know, have they got the quote unquote right stuff to be successful? Yeah. So you can analyze it up to whatever, but the person is the key factor.
I mean, you can have the best idea in the world, and if you're not willing to grind it out, you know, it's not going to do much good. So, okay. And you have been through this program, Jaclyn. So tell me about your company, and then tell me about the program.
Sure. I'm co-founder and CEO of a company called Boatsetter. Think of us as the Airbnb for boats. So what
makes total sense.
Yeah. Yep. We make incredible experiences on the water available to anyone, anywhere, and you don't even have to be an experienced boater because we also have the largest network of licensed captains.
Awesome. You've thought this through.
We have.
So is it an app that somebody can go, and if you're traveling, you can...
You can get to it from your phone, from your tablet, from your desktop computer, and it gives you immediate, transparent access to thousands of boats all around the globe. We're not just in the United States, we're in the Caribbean, the Mediterranean, Croatia, you name it.
Awesome. So, well, I was telling you earlier that my husband says the two best days in your life is when you buy a boat and when you sell a boat. So this kind of, that's your problem solution
well,
there.
Now you can go home and tell him his best day is getting on Boatsetter, because now he has thousands of boats he
Well,
can
I'm definitely
enjoy.
going to check it out next time I travel. So now, Ari, you've been around for 5 years. Talk a little bit about the growth that you've had. Are there any kind of big trends that you've been seeing in women's entrepreneurship?
Sure. Back in 2013, it was very unique to just even women entrepreneurs talking about it and getting together. And now there's a lot of organizations out there pursuing really supporting female entrepreneur. What's unique about us is we have a very specific focus to grow entrepreneur strength. So, you know, there's a lot of accelerator out there focusing on startup and the numbers. Of course, we focus on that, but especially early stage. The talent of entrepreneurs is really important. So last 5 years, what I'm seeing, the quality of entrepreneurs certainly increase, and the market also now a lot more open. And logically, they understand that yes, women are a great investment material, yet psychologically, I don't know if they're ready.
Yeah.
Numbers are moving slowly. And so, you know, that's why, I mean, last year with all sorts of a movement, I think we're getting to the serious tipping point, and now is really time for us to see the money actually moving.
Okay, so Adam, do you agree with that? Do you feel like there's a tipping point in investment in women companies?
Well, I'll just start with a sort of opening observation. The talent is equally distributed, in my opinion at least, but opportunity is not.
Okay.
And to Ari's point, there's always been, and I think frankly there still is, a significant bias in the system, the investing system, against women, which is obviously what Women's Startup Lab and Ari are fighting with others to address. So I think to Ari's point, there's a lot of activity supporting what is really a phenomenal number of female founders, but they are still only making incremental progress in getting access to investment dollars. There's still that blockage in the system. It's starting to move somewhat, but I think the euphemism would be there's still a long way to go.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know it's hard for anybody, male or female, to get investment money. So I'm wondering, like, why is that happening? I mean, do you think it's just kind of tradition, a comfort level? I mean, why do you think there's still kind of that reluctance to invest big dollars in a woman-owned company? Anybody want to weigh in?
I mean, personally, and I'll just give you a personal view, I think there's an issue with the investing industry in general, which is it is very male dominated.
Yeah.
Like 96 out of 100 venture capitalists are guys. And not necessarily because they're bad guys, but they tend to invest in things that are familiar to them, and people that are familiar to them, and people that they could see in the future being successful like they deem themselves to be. So if you've got 96 of 100 from a certain group, and people walk in the door and pitch and whatever, they're going to tend to think, well, I can see him doing it, but her, like, I'm not so sure. So I guess the polite way of describing that construct is that it's basically bedeviled with unconscious bias, frankly, to some degree, and this doesn't get put out there quite so much. I think there's actually some element of overt sexism in the system where people just don't think women can be as good, so why should they get the money?
Yeah, well, we need a few billion-dollar women-owned companies, and that would change things really quickly. So, Jaclyn, did you get investment money?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I raised over $25 million.
Awesome.
And my comment is that a good entrepreneur is the person who has the tenacity and grit to overcome any obstacle. And so what I had to do early on, because I wasn't immediately successful in obtaining venture capital funding, initially was I looked for creative strategic ways to be able to fund the company.
Okay.
I developed partnerships with strategics, marina owner-operators, boat manufacturers, found ways to be able to get access to the resources that I would have applied that seed capital to anyways, and it was less dilutive. And that allowed me to get the traction to then go back to the investors and say, here's the proven case. I know my business, I know my numbers, I'm investing $1 here, I'm pulling out X dollars here. Then I was able to really recruit world-class investors that realize that getting and investing behind the individual is what's key.
Yeah.
And I had to prove my case.
Yeah, and you really kind of proved that you had the grit to kind of figure things out, and if you had a block here, you're like, okay, well, I can figure a way around this. So,
Exactly.
Okay, so now I know that's, like, you can teach strategy and all that, but that is the thing that's difficult to teach somebody.
Well, I think just to piggyback on Adam said, unconscious bias is still there. It was an interesting story recently. One of the experienced VC got really involved with the Women's Startup Lab, and seeing number of high quality entrepreneurs go through our program. And after the program, he was shocked to say, oh my gosh, I've seen so many other male entrepreneurs that are far less quality and they don't have attraction, yet they've been getting all those investors climbing all over and giving millions of dollars, and those women continuously not getting support. And I'm just so stunned. I mean, I heard about this biases, but now at Women's Startup, we're seeing it. They're amazing quality entrepreneur, and yes, I'm just shocked as a male investor. That's what he said.
Wow, I mean, it's really interesting that it's that overt that you're seeing that. So, I mean, I don't know, I work with men and women. I think women are more organized in general, so I found, like, in terms of just follow up and things like that. So, okay, how can somebody find out more about Women's Startup Lab?
Well, our website, womenstartuplab.com, women, not women's.
Okay.
So the web address is Women's Startup Lab.
Womenstartuplab.com.
Yes.
So somebody can go there, find out more.
Correct.
And it's mainly for tech companies.
Yes.
Okay.
Tech-enabled company.
Okay.
And we have application all over the world. And it's a great place for many entrepreneurs to connect with other entrepreneurs. But one of the biggest things the graduate said is all those advisor, influencer that comes in support, they truly care.
Awesome. And I'm sure you keep in touch even after you've graduated through the program as, you know, challenges come up and contacts need to be made and things like that. So, yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Adam, Jaclyn, and Ari, for joining us today. So thank you and good luck.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
And thank you as well. We'll be right back.